Welcome to the Good Documentation Practices training at Naturich Labs. Proper documentation is the backbone of quality, compliance, and operational success in our industry. Whether you're recording production data, filling out batch records, or maintaining safety logs, every document must be accurate, complete, and properly managed. In this course, you'll learn the key principles of GDP, including how to create, review, and store documentation in a way that ensures traceability, prevents errors, and meets regulatory requirements. By mastering these practices, you'll contribute to a culture of accountability and excellence at Naturich Labs. Let's get started. At Naturich Labs, all documents must meet strict standards to ensure accuracy, compliance, and traceability. Every record plays a critical role in maintaining product quality and regulatory adherence. All documents must be 1. Permanent. Documents must be maintained as official records and cannot be altered or discarded improperly. 2. Legible. Handwritten entries must be clear and easy to read to prevent misinterpretation. 3. Accurate. All information must be correct, with no unauthorized modifications or omissions. 4. Clear. Wording and data entries should be unambiguous and easy to understand. 5. Consistent. Formatting, terminology, and procedures must be uniform across all records. 6. Complete. Every document must contain all required information, with no missing details. Recording data properly. All data must be recorded directly onto permanent documentation at the time of the activity, never on scrap paper or temporary notes. Use permanent blue or black ink for all handwritten entries to ensure clarity and prevent unauthorized alterations. Corrections must be made following GDP guidelines, no erasing or using correction fluid. At Naturich Labs, maintaining accurate and traceable records is critical. Every entry must reflect real-time actions and be clear enough for any reviewer, even those unfamiliar with the process, to understand what occurred. Key principles: no transcription. Data should never be copied from one document to another. Information must be recorded directly on the official, permanent document to prevent errors and ensure accuracy. Sufficient detail. Entries must be clear, complete, and detailed enough to provide what activity was performed, when it happened, who performed the task. The rule of thumb: if it's not written down, it didn't happen. If an activity is not documented, it cannot be verified and is considered as if it never occurred. Proper documentation ensures compliance, traceability, and accountability in all operations. Maintaining accurate and truthful records is essential to ensuring compliance and product quality at Naturich Labs. All data must reflect actual events, and any intentional misrepresentation or fabrication is strictly prohibited. Violations, such as placing false values in logs, may result in suspension. See GMP documentation guidelines. Truthful and accurate records data must be precise, with no falsifications or misrepresentations. No fabrication. All entries must reflect real-time activities as they occurred. On-site documentation. All current good manufacturing practice, related documents and records must remain on-site and must not be removed from company premises. Examples of CGMP-related documents: records, batch records, training records, logbooks, master documents, validation protocols, forms and formats, production and compliance records, real-time documentation. Information must be recorded concurrently at the completion of each step. Entries should be made by the individual who performed the activity, ensuring traceability and accountability. Documentation should never compromise the process step, but must be completed without delay. At Naturich Labs, proper documentation requires clear and unique identification of individuals responsible for each recorded activity. This ensures traceability, prevents confusion, and maintains compliance with regulatory standards. Key guidelines for signatures and initials. Unique initials. No two individuals may have the same exact initials. If a conflict arises, A middle initial must be included to differentiate between employees. Example: Charles Baldwin Smith, CBS. Kathy Sully, CS. Sign and date in real time. All work must be signed and dated at the time of completion, never in advance or after the fact. Step-by-step documentation. Each step or activity must be signed as it is completed to ensure accuracy and accountability. Example: if performing a multi-step process, each step must have a corresponding signature and date immediately upon completion. At Naturich Labs, all corrections must be made in a way that maintains the integrity and traceability of the original entry. Proper correction procedures ensure compliance with regulatory requirements and prevent data falsification. Key guidelines for document corrections. Authorized corrections. Only the original author of the entry may make corrections. If the author is unavailable, the quality department is responsible for making necessary corrections. Do not obliterate the original entry. The original information must remain legible. Write-overs, erasures, or correction fluid are not allowed. Proper correction method. Draw a single line through the incorrect entry. Initial and date the correction. Write the correct information clearly next to the original entry when an explanation is required. If the correction is not obvious, an explanation must be provided to clarify the reason for the correction. At Naturich Labs, maintaining accurate and properly dated records is essential for compliance and traceability. All corrections must follow strict guidelines to ensure transparency and prevent data manipulation. Key guidelines for dating entries and corrections. Always use the current date. When making a correction, always use the actual date of the correction, regardless of when the original entry was made. Do not backdate or forward date entries. No whiteout or correction tape. These materials obscure original entries and are strictly prohibited. Correcting a paragraph or full page. Entire paragraph or page needs correction. Draw a diagonal line through the incorrect section. Initial and date the correction. Using explanations when necessary. If space is limited or there are multiple corrections on the same page, use circle numbers to link corrections to explanations. Explanations must be on the same page as the correction and must be neat and legible without obscuring any information. Timely and chronological entries. Enter corrections in real time. Any non-real-time corrections must include an explanation and investigation. All data must be recorded in chronological order to maintain a clear historical record. Information should be entered immediately after a step or series of steps is completed to ensure accuracy. At Naturich Labs, recording the correct date and time in a standardized format ensures clarity, accuracy, and consistency in documentation. The date and time must always reflect when an activity was actually performed, not when it was recorded later. Acceptable date formats. The date must be legible and written in a standard format, such as 04/30/25 Unacceptable date formats. The following formats are not allowed because they may cause confusion. 04/30/2025/04 period 30 period 2025 04/30/25 4 period 30 period 25 04 period 30 period 25 Recording time when required. Time must be recorded in a 12-hour clock format using AM or PM. 09:20 AM 10:30 PM. Use the format HH:MM AM or PM, where HH equals hours, MM equals minutes. At Naturich Labs, no blank spaces should be left in records to ensure completeness, prevent unauthorized alterations, and maintain compliance. If a field or section does not require data, it must be properly marked and acknowledged. Acceptable methods for denoting unused spaces. Single line through the space. Draw a single line through the blank space, then initial and date it. Use NA or NA. If the field does not apply, write NA, then initial and date it. Example. If a test parameter is not relevant, mark it as NA, marking multiple unused lines. If a section contains multiple lines for entries that are not needed, draw a diagonal line across the entire section, then initial and date it. Handling blank pages. If multiple pages remain unused, each page must be crossed out, initialed, and dated to confirm it was intentionally left blank. Do not leave any blank spaces. Unmarked blanks may be misinterpreted as missing data and can result in compliance issues. At Naturich Labs, all documentation must be clear, consistent, and free of ambiguous markings. To ensure accuracy and compliance, the following guidelines apply when recording repetitive information. Handling repetitive information. Repeat each entry clearly. Each entry must be written exactly as the original, without shortcuts or symbols. Do not use ditto marks, arrows, or lines. These symbols create ambiguity and may lead to misinterpretation of the data. Consistent formatting. Every repeated entry must be formatted identically to the first instance, ensuring clarity for reviewers and auditors. Abbreviations. Standardized abbreviations. If abbreviations are used, they must be company approved and used consistently throughout all documentation. No unapproved abbreviations. Avoid using informal or inconsistent abbreviations that may cause confusion. At Naturich Labs, all data must be recorded directly onto approved documentation to ensure accuracy, traceability, and compliance. Transcribing data or information is not acceptable, except in specific cases outlined in batch record instructions. Key guidelines. No unauthorized transcribing. All data must be recorded permanently on official, approved documents. Do not use unapproved documents. Avoid using scrap paper, sticky notes, paper towels, any temporary surfaces for recording data. Extraordinary circumstances. If data must be recorded on unapproved documents due to an extraordinary situation, the original source data must be attached to the official documentation. Example. If a printout provides sample weights, it must be attached to the batch record. Permitted transcribing situations. Some processes require data to be transcribed as per batch record instructions. Example. Reading weights from a scale display and recording them on a batch record is acceptable only if specified in the documentation process. At Naturich Labs, proper attachment of documents and accurate recording of numerical data are essential for maintaining compliance and data integrity. Affixing labels or printouts. Initial and date across both documents. When attaching documentation from one source to another, the individual must initial and date across the attachment to ensure traceability. The initials and date must be legible on both documents to confirm they were properly affixed and verified. Number rounding. Follow specification requirements. Data must be recorded at the end of calculations and rounded to the specific number of decimal places stated in a specification. Do not arbitrarily round numbers. Only round values as required by documentation guidelines to ensure accuracy and compliance with procedures. Good documentation practices are essential to ensuring accuracy, compliance, and product quality at Naturich Labs. By following these guidelines, recording data correctly, avoiding transcription errors, using approved formats, and maintaining clear and legible records, we uphold the highest standards of integrity and accountability. Your commitment to proper documentation plays a vital role in the success of our operations and regulatory compliance. Thank you for your attention to detail and dedication to maintaining excellence in our documentation practices. Together, we ensure the reliability and trustworthiness of our records, supporting the continued success of Naturich Labs. Thank you for your time and effort in completing this training.